Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
All right, thanks a lot, Royce, and thank you for tuning into the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm Rich Walsh. We'll be joined by Jeff Hathhorn in just a matter of moments, and we'll be taking your phone calls on the Borders and Borders hotline tonight at 412-575-2600 is the number. The hot topic tonight is the quarterback situation, the quarterback rotation. Mike Tomlin laid out the plan for Saturday's first preseason game against the Seahawks, and not a big surprise here. Mitch Trubisky is your starter. Will play at least the first quarter, maybe into the second quarter, and then Mason Rudolph picks up from there. Kenny Pickett you'll see in the second half. Jeff, you've been out there at camp more than I have. You've been out there every single day, so you studied these quarterbacks. You know, I think Trubisky has been the most consistent from what I've seen. Looks the most comfortable out of the three, even though maybe Mason Rudolph knows the offense better. Obviously, this is the way it's been going since the offseason, and I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. And this is going to be, I think, the order when they play that first game in Cincinnati on September 11th.
Well, I'll start off with saying today was a really good day for Mitch, especially 7-on-7, in 7 shots, because he scored 4 touchdowns, and he threw 2 passes to George Pickens, which that helps because he has caught basically everything, and whenever you can get the ball into his hands, that is a good thing. I think he's been the most consistent in 2-minute drill, and in just the way he approaches, the way he looks 11-on-11 as well. I think he has been the most consistent. If you look at pure stats, it's Mason Rudolph, and it's probably not that close. Mason hasn't had a turnover all camp, which is pretty amazing when you think about 14 practices. He hasn't had a turnover yet this camp. And Kenny's been up and down, although I think overall this week has been his best week, and maybe that's just a sign of him starting to catch on. But I have little doubt that not only will Mitch Trubisky start this game on Saturday, he's going to start the game in Cincinnati.
Yeah, and I actually asked Mason Rudolph that exact question today. Are you dissecting these practices like we are? I mean, because we're looking at every quarterback, trying to figure out what they were for the day. I know Mason Rudolph had a better day yesterday than Mitch Trubisky. Mitch Trubisky was 0 for 4 in that 7-shot drill. But, Mitch a little bit better today. And he said no. He said he brought up a couple passes what he liked and a couple passes that he didn't like. But he said he doesn't know his stats. They don't look at it like that. They look at it what they could have done better and maybe some of the things that they did well.
And you know what? We look at that video right now, and I think that's a really good example. Like, Mitch Trubisky is better on the run than Mason Rudolph is. Like, Mason can do it. He does have some wheels. He had that, 17-yard run against Detroit in the game last year. So, I mean, he can move, but he's a guy that's more of a pocket guy. He's more comfortable in the pocket. He makes better decisions in the pocket, where I think Trubisky is more about extending plays, especially being able to go to his left and make plays happen, which is often an issue for right-handed quarterbacks. And I think Kenny is still more comfortable rolling to his right. He can make plays that way. But I think it's almost a different offense, or it should be a different offense when Mason is in there, because you want him kind of staying in that pocket. Again, a little mobility, but not a guy that you want to design rollouts for. I think that's more of Mitch's and Kenny's game.
So here's some things that I can take away, and I don't know if you agree with me here, Jeff. I mean, Oladokin, they barely use at practice. I mean, he gets basically nothing. So that makes
no team reps.
Yeah, that makes me think that they're not even evaluating this guy. So he has no chance to be the third guy right now. So are they going to put him on the practice squad, keep him around? They're going to keep the other 3 quarterbacks. And it makes sense to have, I know this is not the favorable opinion here, but it makes sense to have Mason Rudolph as the backup, because if Mitch Trubisky starts, fails, gets injured or something, you know that Mason Rudolph can come in on the short term and potentially win you a game. Now, if it's like a season-ending injury, this is maybe a different scenario. This is maybe the time that you would want to go with the Kenny Pickett.
Well, I'll say this. The Bengals right now, their backup quarterback is an Allen not named Josh, and he stinks. And Mason Rudolph would be an upgrade for Cincinnati. I'm not saying that they would necessarily trade within the division, but there are probably a couple of other teams where there would be interest in Mason Rudolph. It's just what is the get back. So I don't necessarily know that Mason will be on this roster. at the end of training camp. I think there's a possibility he could be traded. And I think Oladokin, listen, he's not doing team drills, but he's doing all the individual drills. They've seen him enough. If they like him and think he can be a developmental quarterback, and if they believe that Kenny Pickett can be the number 2, which I don't know if he's that far from being equal to Mason Rudolph, even though he doesn't have the experience. And think of it this way, Richie. I looked up the last 4 years, first-round pick quarterbacks, 1 game did any of those quarterbacks not dress, and that was Dwayne Haskins because of a disciplinary issue. I mean, Jordan Love dressed every game. He didn't play, but when you draft a quarterback in the first round, especially in recent times, those quarterbacks dress. And I just don't see Kenny Pickett sitting or, not being able to dress for games come the fall. I think something's going to give, whether, Mason becomes the 3 or Mason, the Steelers look for a trade.
That's a great stat there. That makes a lot of sense. I want Kenny to be the number 2 because I want him to learn. You want him to feel comfortable in this offense too. So I didn't realize that. That is great information there, Jeff. You're bringing it tonight.
And listen, Mason, probably if you wiped off everybody's background and you just looked at camp and looked at Mason from a stat standpoint, you would probably be more intrigued. But I think there's enough baggage, there's enough time around the Steelers coaches. I just don't see Mason being a starter. And I do think the talk that you hear is true, that they're looking to see what they can get for him.
Yeah, I'd like to see where. I mean, Cleveland potentially is in the market for a quarterback. Like we talked about moments ago, I don't know if they're going to trade him within the division. What's going on with Tom Brady in Tampa? Matthew Stafford has an elbow issue. I mean, there's obviously going to be a market for a quarterback that can play and potentially win you games. So it's just what would you get in return? We got to take a break. Back with some of your phone calls and some of your tweets coming up next. 412-575-2600 on the Borders and Borders hotline. Thanks for watching on Pittsburgh CW and listening live on 93.7 The Fan.